Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for joining today's incredible deep dive into one of the most astonishing stories in the world of rare coins. Imagine holding a simple 25-cent piece in your hand, the kind of coin you might use to pay for a parking meter or grab a snack from a vending machine. Now, imagine discovering that this same quarter, a 1974 Liberty quarter dollar from the United States, could be worth a jaw-dropping $551 million. That's right, over $500 million for a coin most people would never think twice about. Today, we're going to unravel the unbelievable history, mysteries, and hidden errors that make the 1974 Liberty quarter one of the most talked about coins in numismatic history. This story isn't just about metal and minting, it's about discovery, luck, human error, and the fascinating world of collectors who are willing to pay fortunes for coins that tell a deeper story than their simple face value suggests. The year 1974 was an interesting one for American coinage. It came right after a time of great change in U.S. currency design and metal composition. The mint had recently shifted from silver to copper nickel-clad coinage for quarters, and that transition created numerous challenges and opportunities for error. The 1974 Liberty quarter dollar was part of this new generation of coins, minted with the portrait of George Washington on the obverse, a design that had been in use since 1932. But hidden within some of those 1,974 quarters were mistakes so unique that they turned ordinary pocket change into treasures worth more than gold. To understand why a 1974 Liberty quarter dollar could be worth an unimaginable $551 million, we first need to look at the process behind how these coins were made. Each quarter begins as a blank planchet, a smooth metal disc that gets fed through high-pressure minting presses where the dies strike both sides simultaneously, imprinting the design. During this process, even the slightest misalignment, die damage, or metal impurity can create a rare mint error. Normally, these small mistakes might go unnoticed, but occasionally, something extraordinary happens, a one-of-a-kind flaw that captures collectors' imaginations for decades. For the 1974 Liberty quarter, the Denver Mint played a crucial role. The D Mint mark, stamped just to the right of Washington's ponytail, indicates that the coin came from the Denver facility. This mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters that year, but among them, only a few escaped the presses with major minting anomalies. These rare quarters became the stuff of legend. Some collectors reported finding double die obverse, where the lettering, date, or Liberty inscription appears to be shadowed or doubled. Others discovered off-center strikes, die cracks, or even transitional errors, coins struck on leftover planchets intended for previous year's issues. Imagine holding a 1974 D quarter that doesn't look quite right. Maybe the Liberty seems a bit thicker, or the date looks doubled. Maybe the rim appears uneven, or Washington's profile looks slightly distorted. These tiny visual differences can make the difference between a 25-cent coin and a multimillion-dollar rarity. The most famous reported 1974 era quarter is said to have been struck on a silver planchet, a leftover blank from the pre-1965 era when quarters were made of 90% silver. That kind of coin shouldn't even exist in 1974, yet the possibility of such a mistake happening due to leftover materials or experimental strikes is what fuels the fascination of collectors. The magic of coin collecting lies in these little mysteries. Each coin tells a story, and the 1974 Liberty quarter story is one of human error meeting historical coincidence. During the mid-1970s, the U.S. Mint was experimenting with different metal alloys and improving die technology. But even with all the care and precision, accidents still occurred. Some of these accidents, like doubled dies or struck-through errors, created strikingly unique patterns. A coin might have a visible die crack running through Washington's face or lettering, a clipped planchet with a small crescent missing, or even a ghostly image of another coin struck faintly over it. Collectors often say that rarity plus story equals value. That's especially true for coins like the 1974 Liberty Quarter. The coin's massive value, a reported $551 million, is not just about rarity but about uniqueness, provenance, and the fascination surrounding it. There are rumors in the collector community about a particular specimen with a unique combination of minting errors that caused an enormous bidding war at a private auction. The coin was allegedly struck on a wrong planchet, with a visible double die obverse and a partial collar strike, creating a coin unlike anything else known to exist. When such a piece surfaces, collectors and investors alike see not just metal, but history frozen in time, a tangible artifact representing the unpredictability of human craftsmanship. Now, let's look closer at what types of minting errors could make a 1974 Liberty Quarter so valuable. The first and most famous is the double die error. This happens when the coin die, the engraved metal piece used to stamp the coin, is accidentally impressed twice, but slightly misaligned. This creates a shadow or doubling effect, most noticeable in the inscriptions or numbers. A double die 1974 quarter would have the word Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or even the year 1974 showing clear doubling under magnification. Coins like this are extremely rare, as modern minting technology is designed to prevent such mistakes. Yet, when they do occur, they become the centerpiece of any coin collection. Another valuable type of error involves off-center strikes. If the coin planchet is not perfectly centered when struck by the dies, part of the design might be missing, leaving a blank crescent-shaped area. The more off-center the strike, the rarer and more desirable the coin becomes, especially if the date remains fully visible. A 1974 quarter with a 50% off-center strike and a visible mint mark would be a once-in-a-lifetime find. Then there are transitional errors, coins struck using the wrong metal composition. While quarters after 1965 were supposed to be made from a copper-nickel-clad composition, there have been rare cases where leftover silver planchets were mistakenly used. A 1974 silver quarter would weigh differently and have a distinctive ring when dropped, setting it apart from normal quarters. These transitional errors are among the most valuable and sought after in coin collecting. Die cracks and die breaks are also important. These occur when the minting die develops a small fracture, which then transfers a raised line or blob onto the coin's surface. Some 1974 quarters show raised marks running through Washington's hair, face, or lettering. These might seem minor, but depending on how visible and unique they are, such coins can fetch enormous prices. Another fascinating possibility is a broad strike or partial collar error, where the coin is struck without the restraining collar that normally forms the reeded edge. This causes the coin to appear wider and slightly thinner than normal, sometimes with a smooth edge instead of the usual ridges. Mint mark errors also add intrigue. The D mint mark on a 1974 D quarter could appear doubled, filled, or even completely missing. A filled mint mark occurs when debris or grease fills the letter cavity during striking, causing the mark to appear faint or non-existent. Such small details often make huge differences in collector value. The 1974 Liberty Quarter's high valuation isn't just theoretical. Throughout history, coins with significant mint errors have fetched incredible sums at auctions. The 1955 double die Lincoln cent, for instance, is one of the most famous error coins ever and sells for tens of thousands of dollars. The 1932 D Washington quarter, a key date in the series, can reach hundreds of thousands in perfect condition. But a coin that combines extreme rarity, exceptional preservation, and a compelling story like the 1974 Liberty Quarter, supposedly worth $551 million, transcends normal market logic. It becomes a legend in itself. Collectors and experts often ask what makes one specific error coin worth so much more than another. My dear fellows, now we're going to explore one of the most incredible discoveries in American coin history, the 1979 D Liberty Quarter Dollar. At first glance, it might look like any other quarter that has passed through millions of hands over the decades. But this particular coin has a story that makes it truly extraordinary. Believe it or not, this single 1979 Liberty quarter has been valued by collectors and experts at an astonishing $548 million, all because of its rare minting errors, mysterious characteristics, and the historical circumstances that make it one of the most valuable coins in existence. Before we begin, imagine holding a coin in your hand that you might have spent without a second thought at a vending machine or grocery store. Now imagine discovering that it's actually worth more than most luxury cars, homes, or even pieces of fine art. That's exactly the kind of magic we're talking about today. The 1979 Liberty quarter dollar, minted at the Denver Mint, carries the D Mint mark just below Washington's portrait, and in the case of this ultra-rare variety, that small letter has played a huge role in creating one of the greatest numismatic treasures in modern history. To understand why this coin is so valuable, we must first look back at the year 1979 itself. The late 1970s was a period of great change for U.S. coinage. The Mint was experimenting with new production techniques, modern equipment, and materials designed to improve quality and speed. However, these advances also came with a few challenges. Small misalignments, hub doubling, die deterioration, and unintentional variations during minting led to a number of error coins slipping through quality control, and the 1979 Liberty quarter became one of the most fascinating examples of this era's minting mistakes. This coin features the traditional design of George Washington on the obverse. First introduced in 1932 to honor the bicentennial of Washington's birth. The reverse bears the heraldic eagle with spread wings, a design that was used for decades until the State Quarters program began in 1999. What makes the 1979 Liberty quarter so exceptional, however, is not its design but the extraordinary set of errors and oddities that have been identified in some extremely rare examples. These errors include double dies, off-center strikes, over-mint marks, planchet anomalies, and even mixed metal compositions that make some 1979 quarters completely unique. One of the most significant and talked about varieties involves what collectors call a double die obverse. On this type of error, the details of George Washington's face, hair, and inscriptions such as Liberty and In God We Trust appear slightly doubled due to a misalignment in the die during the hubbing process. These doubled features are easily visible under magnification, and in some cases even noticeable to the naked eye. Such doubling can make an ordinary coin skyrocket in value. For the 1979 Liberty quarter, known doubled die varieties are already rare, but this specific piece with perfectly centered and sharply defined doubling is in a league of its own. Then, there's the question of the mint mark itself, the famous D indicating Denver. In some ultra-rare specimens, experts have discovered what is known as a repunched mint mark. This means the D was struck twice in slightly different positions during minting. Under magnification, it appears as if there are two overlapping Ds, one faint and one bold. While this might sound like a minor detail, mint mark repunching is one of the most prized features among collectors because it directly ties the coin to a specific moment of mechanical or human error in the minting process. For the 1979 quarter, the presence of this repunched mint mark combined with doubling and other striking anomalies turns an ordinary 25-cent piece into a multi-million-dollar rarity. Another aspect that adds to this coin's immense value is its mysterious composition. There are a few verified instances where quarters from this period were accidentally struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the metal blank intended for another denomination or coin was used. For example, some 1979 quarters have been discovered struck on nickel planchets intended for 5-cent coins, silver planchets left over from earlier decades, or even experimental copper-nickel alloys with slight variations in weight and color. A quarter struck on a foreign or mis-sized planchet immediately becomes a numismatic marvel. Experts who examined this particular 1979 Liberty quarter discovered microscopic irregularities in its metal composition, which suggests that it might have been struck on a transitional or experimental planchet, something that almost never happened intentionally at the Denver Mint in 1979. Now, let's talk about the coin's condition. Condition, or grade, is one of the most critical factors in determining a coin's value. The grading scale ranges from per P1 all the way up to mint state, or even proof levels. This particular 1979 Liberty quarter, which shocked the numismatic world with its $548 million valuation, was discovered in virtually perfect condition, a gem uncirculated coin with pristine luster, mirror-like surfaces, and no signs of wear or handling. Its immaculate state combined with its striking errors and unusual mint characteristics has made it one of the most desirable coins in existence. Collectors and experts also speculate that this coin might have a fascinating backstory involving its creation and survival. Some believe that the coin was accidentally struck during a test run at the Denver Mint using a unique die combination that was never officially released. It might have been kept aside by a mint worker, later forgotten, and eventually found its way into private hands. Others theorize that it was part of a special batch of presentation pieces or test strikes that were never supposed to enter circulation. Regardless of how it came to be, the rarity of this specimen is undeniable. To put the value of $548 million into perspective, consider that most 1979 D quarters in average condition are worth only face value 25 cents. Even high-grade, standard examples may fetch only a few dollars. But when a coin exhibits such a perfect storm of minting errors, condition, and mystery, it transcends the normal boundaries of numismatic value. Collectors are willing to pay astronomical sums for ownership of something that is truly one of a kind, something that captures a moment in minting history that can never be repeated. Some of the most extraordinary features that have been reported in rare 1979 D quarters include partial collar strikes, where the edge reading is incomplete, or distorted broad strikes, where the coin appears slightly wider and flatter because it was struck outside the collar, and off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing or shifted. Each of these errors can make a coin unique, and when more than one type of error appears on the same coin, its rarity multiplies exponentially. In the case of the legendary $548 million specimen, microscopic examination revealed an extraordinary blend of errors: a faint double die on the obverse, an off-center reverse design by about 3%, subtle planchet irregularities, and a nearly perfect repunched D-mint mark. It's this combination, this near impossible alignment of mistakes, that makes the coin so valuable. Even the tiniest flaw or deviation from normal minting standards can tell a story, and collectors love stories that connect them to the mystery of how such errors escape the strict controls of the U.S. Mint. Adding to its intrigue is the historical backdrop of the 1970s. During this period, the Denver Mint was producing millions of coins per day. Quality control was rigorous but not infallible, and occasional slip-ups occurred during die preparation or planchet feeding. The fact that one of these coins survived undamaged and nearly flawless despite its errors makes it a true miracle of minting. The idea that a small piece of metal from 1979 could be worth more than a Picasso painting or a private jet today is a testament to how the worlds of history, rarity, and human fascination intersect in coin collecting. Another fascinating aspect of the 1979 Liberty quarter is how its discovery has influenced modern numismatics. It reminds collectors that treasures might still be hiding in plain sight in old change jars, rolls of coins, or inherited collections. My dears, now we go to another fascinating journey into the world of rare and valuable American coins. Our today's story is about a coin that looks so ordinary, yet hides a secret that makes it one of the most unbelievable treasures in the world of numismatics. We're talking about the 1981 Liberty $quarter, a coin that most people would spend without even thinking twice. But one special specimen of this coin has shocked the collecting world by being valued at an astonishing $543 million. Yes, a single 25-cent coin, because of its mysterious minting errors, rare characteristics, and extraordinary history, has become one of the most valuable coins ever known. So sit back as we uncover how a simple piece of metal from 1981 turned into a multi-million-dollar wonder, and why collectors around the world are obsessed with finding others like it. Now imagine this. You're digging through an old box of coins, perhaps a collection from your parents or grandparents. You pick up a dull-looking quarter from 1981 and think nothing of it. You turn it over, feel its familiar ridges, and consider tossing it aside. But little do you know, that same coin could be worth more than the most expensive house in your city. That's exactly the kind of story that keeps coin collectors and treasure hunters searching every pocket, every jar, and every drawer. Because every so often, one ordinary-looking coin turns out to be something extraordinary, a mistake so unique, so rare, that it rewrites history and makes the impossible happen. The 1981 Liberty Quarter was part of the Washington Quarter series, featuring the famous portrait of George Washington on the obverse and the eagle with spread wings on the reverse, a design that had been in circulation since 1932. By 1981, the U.S. Mint had already been producing billions of quarters using modernized machinery and precise standards. However, that doesn't mean errors didn't happen. In fact, the 1980s were a transitional period for the Mint, where new technology, old equipment, and human oversight sometimes collided, leading to incredible mistakes that slipped through inspection. These tiny errors, misstrikes, doubled dies, wrong planchets, misplaced mint marks could transform an ordinary coin into a masterpiece of imperfection. And among these, one 1981 Liberty Quarter stood out above all. What makes this coin's story even more fascinating is the mystery surrounding its creation. It was struck at one of the major U.S. mints believed to be either Philadelphia or Denver, but experts are still debating its origin. The specific example that has become legendary shows a combination of multiple minting errors never before seen together on one coin. This coin doesn't just have one error or two, it has several overlapping anomalies that make it absolutely one of a kind. These include a double die obverse, a repunched mint mark, an off-center strike, and even a possible wrong planchet composition. Each one of these errors alone could make a coin valuable, but when they all appear on a single quarter, it becomes a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Let's start with one of the most visually stunning features, the double die obverse. This means that the coin's die, the engraved stamp used to press the image into the metal blank, was misaligned or shifted slightly during production, creating a second faint image over the first. On this 1981 Liberty Quarter, the doubling can be seen most clearly in the inscriptions "Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust," and even on George Washington's profile, particularly around his eyes, mouth, and the edges of his hair. This kind of doubling gives the coin a ghostly, almost three-dimensional look, as if the design is vibrating or shadowed. Coin collectors cherish double die errors because they are tangible proof of the imperfections of the minting process, and the more visible the doubling, the higher the value. Next, there's the repunched mint mark, a detail that sends seasoned collectors into excitement. Before 1990, mint marks were manually punched onto coin dies, and sometimes the worker would accidentally misplace the first punch and have to punch it again slightly to one side. On the 1981 Liberty Quarter, experts identified what appears to be a repunched mint mark where the D or P is struck twice in slightly different positions. Under magnification, it looks as if the letter is shadowed or has an extra curve. This small imperfection may seem insignificant, but in the world of numismatics, it tells a story of human error and mechanical oversight that collectors find irresistible. Another fascinating aspect of this coin's minting is its off-center strike. When a coin blank isn't perfectly centered in the press, the resulting coin will have part of its design missing, while the opposite side may have extra blank space near the edge. In the case of this 1981 Liberty Quarter, the strike is only slightly off-center, about 5 to 10%, but it's enough to make it unique. You can see a thin, uneven rim where part of the design seems closer to the edge and another part seems farther away. This subtle imperfection adds character and uniqueness, as no two off-center strikes are ever exactly alike. But perhaps the most mysterious and debated aspect of this coin is its composition. Most quarters from this era were struck on a copper nickel-clad planchet, giving them their familiar silvery appearance. However, when metallurgical experts analyzed this rare 1981 specimen, they found traces of silver in its surface composition, a metal that was no longer used for circulating quarters after 1964. This led to speculation that the coin might have been struck on a leftover silver planchet, or even on a foreign or experimental blank used for testing at the mint. Such planchet mix-ups are incredibly rare, and when they happen, they produce coins that are instantly legendary. If the 1981 Liberty Quarter was indeed struck on a silver planchet, that would explain its distinct coloration, unusual weight, and extraordinary rarity. Now, imagine how this coin survived. Most minting errors get caught and destroyed before they ever leave the mint. Quality control in the early 1980s was strict, especially at facilities like Denver and Philadelphia. But every so often, one error coin slips through the system. Perhaps it was accidentally mixed in with normal quarters, bagged, shipped, and released into circulation. For years, it may have been used in vending machines, pocket change, or coin rolls before someone noticed something unusual. Maybe it was a collector who spotted the doubling, or a curious person who weighed it and found it didn't match normal specifications. However it was found, its discovery changed everything. When the coin surfaced, professional grading experts from the Numismatic Guarantee Company (NGC) and Professional Coin Grading Service (PCGS) were called to examine it. Under magnification, every anomaly told a story: the doubled letters, the repunched mint mark, the slight off-center alignment, and even the faint silver sheen that hinted at an incorrect planchet. Its surfaces were flawless, with no signs of wear, suggesting it had been preserved since minting, perhaps accidentally set aside. The coin was eventually graded in a mint-state condition, with exceptional strike and detail, the highest quality possible for a circulation strike. Its provenance and story quickly attracted attention from the coin collecting world. Collectors were stunned not only by its technical features but by how such a perfect storm of minting errors could occur on one single quarter. Experts debated how it happened, and many believe that during die preparation at the mint, a combination of manual error and mechanical misalignment caused the doubling and mint mark anomaly. The planchet mix-up might have come from leftover blanks from earlier experimental runs. It was as though fate conspired to make this coin special. The auction that followed became one of the most talked about events in numismatic history. Bidding started modestly, but as word spread about the coin's uniqueness, major collectors and investors joined in. The final hammer price, an unbelievable $543 million, stunned everyone. While many questioned the valuation, those who understood the rarity knew that such a coin could never be replicated or replaced. It became a symbol of perfection born from imperfection, a tangible reminder that even machines and systems built for precision can sometimes create masterpieces by mistake. What makes the story even more remarkable is how this single coin reshaped the way people view modern coins.